God tests winners so we can win. Welcome to another episode of Morning Meds, FamTFamily.com's devotional spotter for males to meditate on Yahweh's word for good success as defined in Joshua 1 verse 8. We are grateful for your stubbornness to travel with the scriptures or march through the scriptures with us. And today our title is God Saves Daniel. God Saves Daniel. And we are going to be exploring Daniel chapter 6 verses 19 to 24 today. And in our previous episode, we looked at the topic, the shepherd who restores, from Psalm 80, and we picked a couple of verses. The key verse, verse 18 of Psalm 80. And we understood that Jesus is the one who gives us faith, and faith is a sign of life. We understood that where persons doubt Jesus or doubt the salvation that comes from YAH, the creator of the heavens and the earth, according to the Hebrew narrative in the Tanakh or the Old Testament, when we doubt that salvation comes from the creator, we are spiritually dead. We are separated from the source of life. The life is seen in our trust in Yahweh. And today we are, looking at someone who faces a test and how does that person respond to the test that they face. And we're going to be reading from Daniel 6 verses 19 to 24. So why should we listen today? We want to listen because we want to be able to mentor our family to conquer the tests that accompany our faith. We want to mentor our family to conquer the tests that accompany our faith. So our faith in Jesus is not just going to lead us into some kind of sterile environment where we're just on clouds waiting for the spaceship to come and beam us away to heaven. Our faith is actually going to attract hard times. Our faith is going to come with tests. And what we see, the pattern in the Bible is that the people who God he enters into covenant with, from Adam all the way up to modern day, we're called Christians, every covenant person, the covenant is with the church of Jesus Christ. The covenant comes with a test. And we want our families to understand that if we are to be a strong family, a family that we believe, a strong family is a family that follows Jesus Christ, that has a relationship, a friendly relationship with this man, Jesus Christ of Nazareth, who we believe resurrected from the grave to show his superiority, his dominion over sin, our trespasses, the things that we do that oppose love. And he then shows that he has conquered sin, and because he conquered sin, he conquers death. This man, when we follow him, we are going to be tested. So let's read Daniel 6 verse 19 to 24 from the Good News version. Let's bring that up. 19 to 24 says, Daniel 6, 19 to 24. At dawn, the king got up and hurried to the pit. When he got there, he called out anxiously, Daniel, servant of the living God, was the God you serve so loyally able to save you from the lions? Daniel answered, May your majesty live forever. God sent his angel to shut the mouths of the lions so that they would not hurt me. He did this because he knew that I was innocent and because I have not wronged you, your majesty. The king was overjoyed and gave orders for Daniel to be pulled up out of the pit. So they pulled him up and saw that he had not been hurt at all, for he trusted God. Verse 24. Then the king gave orders to arrest all the men who had accused Daniel, and they were thrown together with their wives and their children into the pit filled with lions. Before they even reached the bottom of the pit, The lions pounced on them and broke all their bones. So that was Daniel 6 verses 19-24 from the Good News Translation of the Holy Bible. Again, we are on this topic, God Saves Daniel. The title is God Saves Daniel. And we're on the general topic of faith. We are mentoring our families. Why are we listening today? Why are we paying attention? Because we want to mentor our families to conquer the tests that accompany our faith. We have said in our tagline that YAH tests winners so we can win. Winning automatically is telling us that there is combat, that there is a test, that there is a trial. Without a trial, we cannot win. So without this teaching, our families can be led to believe that trusting YAH comes without Him testing us. And we can see tests as antichrist and satanic circumstances for us to fail, when in fact the test that accompanies our faith provides the opportunity for us to do what is right and thus season and fertilize our faith. We see from Adam was put in a situation where he was encouraged to trust Yahweh. And he was put before two trees, and he was given a choice to do what is right. Don't eat of the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Eat of the tree of life. And that was not God setting him up. God was giving him the opportunity to do what is right, and in him doing what is right or being righteous, that would have shown that he really trusts Yahweh. So today now, and then this is something common from Moses, Joseph, all these guys and girls and ladies, men and women in the Hebrew story were given an opportunity to trust Yah and to show that in doing the right choice that Yahweh gives them. He gives them a test. The test is not demonic. What is demonic is our approach to the test if we doubt Yahweh. So in this track today, the Hebrew scientist and prophet Daniel, many people forget that Daniel was also a scientist. When they call these men magicians, it is because of their knowledge. We know nowadays a lot of what we would call modern science, people would see that back in the day as magic. So how does a light bulb just glow and give light? How is someone able to talk into a device and the voice comes out at the other end? It must be magic. But we understand that, and we're not saying these people had all of these technologies back in the day, but these men who were scientists were often seen as magicians. And Daniel was called the king, the main magician of I think it was Belshazzar. So here we see Daniel as a scientist, and he is also a prophet. And he is now is now more mature. He has been taken away. We know from the story that the Jews were taken away from the promised land into exile in Babylon by King Nebuchadnezzar. And Daniel outlived the Babylonian king Nebuchadnezzar. He outlived Belshazzar, Nebuchadnezzar's son. And Daniel is now under the regime of the Mede king Darius. Mede, I believe, is probably what we would call nowadays Iran. But now we're seeing that Babylon, which I think some people say that's Iraq, but it's a Mediterranean, a Mesopotamian settlement. And it is now, the Jews are now being, they're predicted to be in bondage for 70 years. So, and I believe that was predicted from Jeremiah. And Daniel is now going through different regimes of leaders from Babylon, King Nebuchadnezzar, to Nebuchadnezzar's son Belshazzar, and then now from Belshazzar to the Mede king Darius. So despite the long suffering that Daniel is going through, Daniel is holding firm to his faith in Yah. He continues the priestcraft that Solomon called for in 2 Chronicles 6 verse 38, 2 Chronicles 7:14. He is turning to Jerusalem a couple of times a day. Remember in 2 Chronicles 6:38, Solomon prayed a prayer while he's dedicating the temple. that if anybody is even taken into exile, if they turn their face towards Jerusalem, towards the temple and pray, Yah will hear them. And then in 2 Chronicles 7:14, Yah will deliver them. If my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven and will forgive their sin and heal their land. But that is premised on people who are physically turning their face to Jerusalem, just like how people from the Muslim faith, they will turn to Mecca, turn to the east to Mecca. These people, it's not something that is peculiar. That practice is not peculiar to Muslims. The Hebrews would, in exile, turn to whatever direction the Jewish temple is, and they would pray for deliverance if they're in bondage. However, this diligence places Daniel in a lion's den. This is where many other men have failed the test from God. But Daniel continued to pray despite King Darius's decree that none is to seek any other deity but him, Darius. Darius, despite seeing Yah's greatness, Yah has just, I believe, showed himself great. I think this follows from Daniel 5, where Darius, he has some writings that is explained. Let me just go back and see what just happened. Oh, sorry, that was actually Belshazzar. So Darius knows of the prowess of Daniel, and he knows what Daniel has done. But Daniel here has a track record of being a great prophet, a great magician, a great scientist for Nebuchadnezzar and for Belshazzar. So we here see that Daniel is placed in a situation where King Darius decrees that he is not to pray to any other deity but him. Darius, despite seeing Yahweh's greatness, thinks himself equally great. He thinks that he is as great as the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. However, the key verse today shows how great Yah is. Key verse is verse 28. Darius now comes to Daniel. It's weird because Darius, he does not want to hurt Daniel. He loves Daniel. Daniel has some kind of favor with Darius. But the wise, the quote-unquote counselors that he listens to, they got him to make this decree that anybody who prays to any other god but Darius, they are to be thrown to the lions. And in those days, a king's decree cannot be changed. No one can veto the king. The king cannot even veto himself, as we see in the book of Esther, when Ahasuerus, or Artaxerxes, one of them, when he tries to reverse a particular ruling, he has to come up with another ruling a new ruling that in essence goes against the ruling that he made before. So we understand that in those days a king's word was cement. That word is not to be changed at all. So Darius could not reverse his decision when he heard that, Daniel was a person who has broken your rule. The men knew that Daniel was praying to Yahweh 3 times a day, or a couple times a day. It may have been 3. And they, however, this is a kind of setup to set up Daniel, to put him before a test. Would he stop praying? Would he stop his priestcraft? And he didn't. And of course, he got sent on a trip to the lion's den. So Daniel says here in verse 22, God is showing Darius how great he is. Daniel says, my God has set his angel and has shut the lion's mouth, that they have not hurt me. For as much as before him innocency was found in me, and also before thee, O king, have I done no hurt. End quote from Daniel 6 verse 22. So our family will be placed in situations, in their classrooms, jobs, businesses, communities, where their faith in Jesus will lead them face to face with lions. Indeed, many of the first Christians were eaten by lions and wild dogs and never wavered in their faith. There are many stories of hungry beasts not attacking Christians in the arenas, but attacking other criminals that were also in the arena with the Christians. So what happened with Daniel happened many years after with Christians who followed Jesus. YAH made the wild beast, and he can shut the wild beast's mouth. YAH made the atheist professor and the humanist boss and the agnostic neighbor, and he can quiet their persecutions as they are part of a wider world system to extinguish our faith. Our faith is more important than being saved from wild beasts, as there are probably more Christians that have died to wild beasts than those saved. However, YAH can save and has saved many from these tortures, just as he saved Daniel. YAH isn't a trial and error. YAH. He isn't a trial and error YAH, but one who is more precious than our errors of flesh. His salvation, YAH's salvation, or Yahushua Jesus, his main salvation is from sin firstly, and from death, and from an eternal destiny separated from YAH. And one who can save from sin, which is immaterial, sin is invisible, can certainly do anything, including shutting measly lions' mouths. So for today, the test, we want to remind our families that the YAH tests us. But the tests that accompany our faith are for us to pass and strengthen our faith. The tests that accompany our faith are for us to pass and strengthen our faith. So for today, that is one of the main things we want our families to understand from Daniel 6:19 to 24. People have a hard time believing that YAH tests us. And yes, you'll find in the book of James, I believe, that Yahweh doesn't test us with evil. So, and people use that to say YAH does not test humans. The point, though, is that YAH tests us, and there are various references in the Old Testament and all throughout the scripture that see YAH testing humans to see what kind of human we will be in the face of trouble. Will we trust YAH, or will we doubt him in the face of trouble? So we want our families to understand that when we believe in YAH, and when now we believe that we trust YAH through Jesus of Nazareth, Yahushua, his salvation, that leads us into even more tests. You might lose a job. Your family members might suddenly turn on you. That promotion that you might be waiting for, no, might not get it. The house that you think you're going to get, sorry, you didn't get the loan, or whatever situation. What will be your next move? We're making a point today that when we love YAH, YAH tests us. He sets us up so that winners can win. If you're to win, you must pass a test. You must face some kind of obstacle that you can beat that obstacle. The tree of knowledge of good and evil was placed in the Garden of Eden for us to ignore it, for us to if it is that YAH would allow us to partake of it at some point in time, who knows? But at the end of the day, we were supposed to trust YAH, and every day we not eat of that tree is another day that we win. And YAH would give us the salvation, the power to overcome the temptation. So for today, last time, we want to remind our family that we are tested by YAH so that we can win. And that's from Daniel 6, verses 19 to 24. Key verse 22 for today. Verse 22 reads again. Verse 22 says, God sent his angel to shut the mouths of the lions so that they would not hurt me. He did this because he knew that I was innocent and because I have not wronged you, your majesty. And this is a main thing we want to remind our families, that God sends his salvation to us so that we can defeat the temptations of life and we can be victorious. And that's, I believe, repeated in 1 Corinthians 10:13, that he doesn't put us before temptation for us to fail, but he always provides the way of escape, the way of salvation, which is Jesus of Nazareth. So why rob God of this world, God and this world of you and your family? And until next time, be nuclear.